Unlocking the digital chains, understanding social media addiction. In a world, just kidding. In a world dominated by digital connectivity, understanding social media addiction is paramount. This compulsive need to check feeds, post updates, and engage online has woven itself into the fabric of our lives, shaping not only how we interact, but also how we think and feel. As our screens keep us hooked, this post aims to guide you through the complex landscape of social media addiction, empowering you with the knowledge and strategies to break free from the digital chains and lead a healthier, more balanced life. We know this is even more so with teenagers, especially during adolescence, during puberty, when the brain is developing, having it, as it says here, interwoven into our lives. It's almost physically doing that in our brain. The psychology behind addiction. Social media addiction, like other forms of addiction, is rooted in the brain's need for gratification, a release of the feel-good chemical dopamine. Each notification, like our shares, provides a hit of dopamine, reinforcing the pleasurable behavior and making us crave it more. When actually dopamine is more of an anticipation of a reward, not an actual pleasure in of itself. It's the anticipation of something meaningful. It has to be a meaningful reward. Overuse can lead to negative effects, including increased stress, disruption in sleep patterns, and strained real-life relationships. Understanding the neurobiology of addiction can help us confront and manage these impulses. By recognizing the triggers and the psychology behind our digital habits, we can begin to rewrite the narrative of our online lives. Exploring the types of social media. Not all forms of social media are created equal when it comes to addiction potential. While different platforms have different purposes and user bases, many share common addictive traits such as the endless scrolling of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok, which is surprised they didn't mention it here. Maybe they'll mention it later. TikTok actually has a very unique algorithm with its For You page. If you haven't checked it out, you can see I did a video on TikTok and what sets it apart from these other ones. It's pretty crazy. Gaming platforms sometimes incorporate social networking features, creating an additional layer of dependent behavior. The social proof, the fitting in, the wanting to participate contributes big time to in-game purchases. Understanding the addictive nature of specific platforms can help prioritize where to make changes. Tools like screen time tracks on smartphones can offer insights into usage patterns and inform our attempts to curb social media consumption. Yeah, screen time on the iPhone is a good tool. It's good because it gives you a baseline to see just how much time you're spending online. Sometimes we think, I only spend an hour or two when it was actually 4 or more. It's also a good way to track your kids' use of the internet or to see where they're going, what they're doing. Strategies for a healthier digital lifestyle. Conquering social media addiction is about establishing a healthier relationship with digital platforms. It doesn't mean complete abstinence, but learning to consume content mindfully. I would say you can do complete abstinence from social media. Maybe not so much the internet if you need to do research for school or you have a legit reason to be on the internet, but social media is not necessary. Here are some strategies to get you started. Set boundaries. Establishing time limits for social media use can be effective. Apps like Freedom or Self-Control can help you stay within your limits. Now, if you're using things like this, then most likely you have an addiction. And if you have an addiction with social media, you need to delete the apps. A lot of these are for people who have no control, especially teenagers. They lack impulse control. They're all about following their desires, doing what's fun, which is a biological thing. It's not a bad thing. It's the way they're built. So if you need apps like this that's going to help you stay within your limits, that means you have an addiction. So just uninstall it. Alcoholics don't drink in moderation. They have to become abstinent if they want to be sober. Scheduled consumption. Plan specific times during the day to engage with social media. Scheduled sessions reduce the impulsive need to check constantly. Yeah, so if you're not addicted and you do have some sort of control, then you can set a time. Just say, I'm going to check at the end of the day. Once I'm done with everything I need to do after dinner, I'm just going to sit for about half an hour, go through my feeds or go through, see family and friends' posts. But if you have an addiction, uninstall. Quality over quantity. Focus on the quality of your online interactions. Cultivate meaningful connections rather than passively consuming endless content. Yeah, this is the trap scrolling, doom scrolling, is when you're scrolling for no purpose. You're just scrolling and you get locked in to that gambling algorithm, to that gambling psychology. And before you know it, you've been on there for an hour or more. Mindful engagement. Be present and conscious of your social media use. Notice how it makes you feel and whether it's having a positive or negative impact on your life. This can even be with YouTube, like even on this platform. You can find yourself scrolling, going to one recommendation after another. But if you come on here with a purpose, I'm just going to look at this, just going to look at my subscriptions, then it can be okay. But again, if you have an addiction, don't watch YouTube. Don't watch even me. You know, it's just that bad. It made me fast for a while from all of these things. If you have actually, like, let's say you're running a business on social media, you just have to treat it like an addiction. If you're addicted, I'm not saying you're addicted, but if you are, treat it like an addiction. Recognizing the signs of social media addiction. Identifying whether you or someone you know is struggling with social media addiction can be challenging. Here are some signs to watch for. Increased isolation. Spending excessive amounts of time online to the detriment of real life relationships. This is the sign of all addictions, not just social media, but this is the topic. So if you find yourself isolated, scrolling alone, separating yourself from family to go and be alone and scroll, then yeah, you could have a problem. Disturbed sleep patterns, using social media late at night, leading to disrupted sleep and fatigue. Yeah, turn off your phone at night, turn off Wi-Fi, put your phone across the room so you can't just reach for it in case you wake up in the night. And or even put your phone in the kitchen. Out of sight, out of mind. You know, when you have an addiction, the more steps you put between you and the addictive substance or behavior, the more opportunity you have to be in the moment and stop yourself and think, as opposed to just on the book, on the nightstand, just grab it and start looking. Impact on mental health. A rise in anxiety or overall decrease in mental well-being linked to online behavior. Yeah, all addictions lead to depression. So depending on how long you've been addicted to social media, you could very well decrease your mental well-being. Physical symptoms, for example, dry eyes or headaches from staring at screens for extended periods. Yeah, and also from dehydration. Not eating. A lot of gamers who have serious addictions to gaming, they don't eat. They just drink caffeine drinks and just push on through. And it has very harsh consequences, sometimes death. Bulleted list of practical steps for improvement. Incorporating these practical steps into your daily routine can help you take control of your social media habits. Set priorities. Identify what's important to you and allocate your time and attention accordingly. Unsubscribe and unfollow. Eliminate unnecessary feeds from your online diet, cutting down on distracting content. Creating no phone zones. Establish areas in your home or times of the day that you're screen-free to promote offline interaction and rest. Yeah, like I said, I recommend putting it in the kitchen. If you have kids and you find it's difficult, get flip phones. But even for yourself, even if you know that you're scrolling too much, and here's something for parents. Use your screen time, turn it on. See how much time you're spending on your phone. If you're spending 2-3 hours on your phone, then compare that to how many hours you spent with your kids that day. And I don't mean sitting near your kids or you took them to karate class. I'm talking about interacting, eye-to-eye interaction, spending time with them, doing something with them. If your phone outweighs your kids, you have a problem. And your kids pick up on that. So you have to keep that in mind too. Develop offline hobbies. Cultivate interests that don't involve screens, creating a full-time life outside of social media. So far this article has some good advice. I mean, I don't agree that everyone has to be on social media, but for the most part, these are good suggestions. And developing offline hobbies, this is another way of having dopamine. It's a type of dopamine fast because all of these things artificially increase dopamine to unnatural levels. This is what causes the addiction. But hobbies, they also raise dopamine, but it's healthy because it's natural. Unless the hobby is gaming or something. But I'm talking about like it says here, develop offline hobbies and allow yourself to be bored. One of the most important things you can do. If you're done working, instead of unwinding by scrolling or doing gaming or going on a website, Just look out the window or go for a walk. Embrace boredom. Helps with this dopamine addiction that many of us have. Moving towards a balanced digital life. Seeking a balanced digital life is an ongoing process. It involves constant self-reflection, setting realistic goals, and being gentle with yourself. Yeah, don't shame yourself. It's also about using social media as a tool for connection and creativity, not as an escape or a crutch. Yes, all addictions are usually a means of distracting ourselves from ourselves. A lot of times we have underlying emotions and things that were never addressed. We then interpret it as bored or frustrated or irritable. And then we grab something, we take some type of substance, eat some type of substance, or we engage in a behavior to distract us. But allow yourself to be bored. Remember, breaking free from social media addiction is not only beneficial for your mental and physical health, but also essential for nurturing genuine connections and living a purpose-driven life. By understanding the root of social media addiction and applying practical strategies, you are stepping forward and crafting a life that is in harmony with the digital world. Take the first step today, break the chains, and reclaim control over your online experience. Your future self will thank you for it. So yeah, this was a good article. We have to make sure we have our social media addiction under control. If we have an addiction, we have to get it under control. And you know yourself better than anyone, and you have to be realistic. You have to be honest with yourself. Look at how much time you're spending. Are you scrolling around your kids? Are you putting your phone before your kids? Are you scrolling in the bathroom? Are you scrolling, do you even allow yourself to have a moment without a screen? Are your kids? So these are things to keep in mind. In here, we had some strategies to help wean off of social media. I personally think you should not be on social media if you have an issue with it, if you find yourself on it too much. Unless, of course, if you have a business, then you want to schedule certain times to be on it. Don't use it as an excuse. So, I'm doing business, I'm trying to sell this or that. No, you still need to keep it under control. So, inshallah, hopefully this has been beneficial. Till next time, may Allah reward you for being curious and keep tying your camel. Assalamu alaikum.